So I apologise for the poor sound, but here we are on the inaugural tour of RiderCamTV Tours. We're in Santiago de Compostela and I've got to get new tyres. My Avon Spirits STs have given up after 6,500 miles. I thought they were going to be good enough for this tour, but because of the hills and the roads and all the rest of it, they've just destroyed themselves. So I'm now getting a new set fitted at this place here, Roll Motos. Came in this morning, the guy said come back at 5 o'clock and he'll fit them for me. Unfortunately BMW in Santiago couldn't do it, and the two other places I visited were just not interested, so this guy gets good reports on TripAdvisor, so hopefully it'll be all right. So here we are. Santiago is the mechanic. He owns this place. This is his house. Very busy guy. He miraculously fitted me in. So come back at 5 o'clock and I'll do your tyres. And he's a one-man band and he's doing it all on his own. Bike's had its rear tyre done and should be good to go in a little while. What a nice guy. He raves about the Avon Spirit STs, but he thinks they should be on a sport bike, not on a heavy bike like an adventure bike. However, they did over 6,000 miles, probably about 6,500 miles, and you know, they just gave up on the Spanish roads. But we'll see what these new ones are like. So here's the front tyre. It's actually started to scoop itself in this area here, which has caused the bike to develop a bit of a wobble, and it's about 30 miles an hour and it's quite disconcerting. You can see there's quite some chunks, scratches quite on the tyre, but I've used the thing quite a bit. You can see the edges that have been worn down. However, I'm going to get a new set of Pirellis. I'm not quite sure what, but you can see there how much the tyre has actually scooped itself out. So unfortunately, rear tyre's not too bad, front tyre's probably shot. So here's my rear tyre. I mean, it's not squared off or anything like that, it's just got pitted. There's divots in it, and you can see how much they've been used. I've loved these tyres, they're absolutely brilliant. I just thought they'd last a bit longer. Plenty of tread. Unfortunately, the front tyre is a different story. So I've got it wrong about my tyres. I thought they were Pirellis. They're actually Continental ContiTrail Attack 3s he's putting on. Look really nice. A bit similar to a Metzler. So I'm quite interested now. I've never ridden on Continentals before, but they're raved about. So let's see what they're like, eh? There we go then. Continental Trail Attack 3s fitted. Lovely. They look really smart, don't they? And the front, so they look similar to the old Torrance Next tyres, but we'll see how they do. Never ridden before. Let's see what happens. Santiago, what a nice guy, and cheap as well, so we'll let you know how we get on. So there we go, Continental Trail Attack 3's fitted. Santiago's done a Boston job, wasn't expensive. You know, I should have perhaps changed them before I came away, but they look really good, and it was only in the last day they suddenly started to deteriorate really badly. In the Picos, we're riding from Cangas de Onis to Rihanna, and I'm going to talk about my tyres now. They're fitted on my bike, and I've had a few days of riding in them, so I'm now, as I've already mentioned, got these ContiTrail Attack 3s on. Absolutely gorgeous tyres. And what we're doing today is I've got Toby in front to give you a reference, just so we can see what the roads are like and the bends. Otherwise, if I'm just riding, it looks like it's quite boring, isn't it? So Toby's on his RT. And these twisters are absolutely gorgeous. We've done the gorge, we're just coming out the top of it now. Hence the snow poles. So the weather's fine, it's 15 degrees at the moment, it's lovely. And these ContiTrail Attack 3s, I had to put on, fitted by Santiago in Santiago. He offered me, you know, so what do you want putting on? I said, I've no idea, mate. What have you got? And he went, oh, I recommend these. I've only ever seen Contis on KTMs. People rave about them, but it's one of the things about tyres. If you talk about tyres to people, oh yeah, well I always put these on because these are the best tyres in the world. Well, as riders, we're quite narrow-minded in what we choose as a tyre. You know, it's like, this is the only tyre that I will ever use. Well, as you know from our channel, we've actually reviewed lots and lots of different tyres, and you know, we've given good reviews, we've given some horrendous reviews because some of them are really, really bad. But we're on a bit of a voyage at the moment, Toby and myself. Sounds a bit weird, but we are experimenting after conversations with tyre manufacturers and people like that on what the best temperatures are for temperatures, I was looking at the temperature on my bike then, what the best tyre pressures are. Now when you get your manual, your owner's manual for your bike, and it tells you on there what you've got to be doing, it's unlike a car, some bikes will give you a high pressure and a low pressure if you've got, you know, passengers and all the rest of it, but it's not easy to find, and it's not really something we talk about very much. But we've started running, but Toby and I, our tyre pressures are a little bit higher than what you would imagine. So for this BMW, they're 2.5 in the front, 2.9 in the back. I couldn't tell you what the PSI is. And, you know, that's great, but this bike is a heavy bike. And we were talking to our mate Bart at Dunlop, and he was saying it's quite refreshing, which I thought was great, to have people talk about changing the pressures of their tyres, because all the tyre manufacturers are manufacturing their tyres for different things. And this guy in front of us, a really nice guy, we were just talking to him in the car park, and he was saying that, you know, your tyre has to maintain its shape. It's designed to run efficiently in a particular kind of shape, and if you're flattening it because your bike is too heavy and you haven't got the right tyre pressure in, it makes sense to increase the pressure of the tyre. So I've been running my last few sets of tyres higher than normal, so my last set, I've been running these at about 2.6, 2.7, 3 to 3.1, 1.5, something like that. And I found that it's made quite a big difference in actually how the tyre wears and how the tyre performs. Now if you think about it, this bike is 260 kilos, the GSA, and I couldn't tell you whether it was a wet weight or whatever, you know, it's got a 30 litre tank, so it's a big old beast. And then if you're touring, excuse me, you've got your panniers on and all the rest of it, you know, that's an extra weight. You've got your luggage inside the panniers, so let's say, let's be kind to it and say we've got probably 20 kilos, 30 kilos, that's about a ballpark figure, isn't it? 30 kilos of luggage. Then if you imagine you've got your, you know, let's say an average person, 90 kilos, let's say 90 kilos. So we're already at 120 kilos extra on top of the 260 kilos of the bike. And then if you put a pillion on, and I'm bound to offend people here, and I don't really want to, but let's just say an average ballpark figure for a pillion might be as, you know, 60 kilos. I'm really plucking that figure out of the air there. So we're already looking at 180 kilos, and that's nearly the weight of the bike. You know, it's 80 kilos short. Now that's a phenomenal extra weight, and if you're not adjusting your tyres accordingly, then you could see what damage it's going to do to your tyre, how it will affect performance, and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm sure I'm being conservative in my weight estimation of on top, you know, the pillion, passenger, and all the luggage and everything. Because when you were on the ferry coming over to Spain, we're seeing these guys who are going camping, and you're going, my God, your bike is absolutely bursting with luggage, you know. So they're clearly well, you know, and in some cases they'll be up to carrying as much as the weight of the bike. So I'm not saying you have to do it. What I'm saying is have a conversation, speak to your tyre people, because when we get tyres fitted, they just fill them up and we go, okay, thank you, and we drive off, don't we? Because we're very British. You know, we don't question very many things, and we should do. But the tyre manufacturers are screaming out, going, no! Speak to them and ask them what they think you should be putting in your tyres. And this guy Bart at Dunlop, he's saying, you know, if you contacted them, they'd tell you what they think, what they recommend, and it's not what your manufacturer recommends. So have a think about it. But getting back to these tyres, it was so nice. They're really scrubbed in now. I'll do a still photograph so you can see how much they are scrubbed in. As soon as I put them on, I felt very, very confident in them. Lovely tyre, nice tread pattern on them. I haven't ridden them in the wet, although saying that, the other day when we in fact today when we came back up this road, the one of the tunnels is absolutely soggy, and you know, I didn't even think about it. I just went straight in. I didn't even change my braking, my ride, my line, anything like that. And the tyres are fine, so they've gone from bone dry, hot sunny road to wet with no noticeable change in performance. Now they say, the wise people amongst us, I'm sure they get criticised, but I'll stick with it, that a tyre will only lose about 20% of its ability, of its grip, you know, in the wet. Now that's the tyre working at 100% of its capacity. Rossi worries about things like that. We don't. We're just gentlemen bikers, aren't we? You know, perhaps on a good day, with all the ducks in a row, the cows all facing north, nice sunny day. I'm being, you know, sort of think to myself that I probably wouldn't use more than 60% of a tyre's ability, you know, to grip. And that's just, I don't know, you know, but in my head, in the wet, I'm riding on an ice rink. And how many times have we told you that? You know, we've said. So that's the thing you've got to get over. So in reality, I'm not losing any grip. I think I am, but I'm actually not. And that's what we should be considering with when we're riding on tyres. You can see how tight some of these bends are. They're lovely, aren't they? So the Conti Attacks felt good as soon as they went on. Brilliant on dry roads. I'm sure they're good on the wet. They've got great tread patterns for, you know, dispersing water. And people seem to forget that the tread pattern is not for that's not giving you the contact patch. The actual tread is there for dispersing water off the, you know, away from the tyre, and the contact patch when you're riding. And that's why it's so important. And that's why a big knobbly tyre is not as good as a road tyre for grip in the wet, because it's got great big gaps between its blocks of tread, if you want. So it's getting rid of all the water, but you're compromising it on actual grip. So, but these are really nice tyres. Would I recommend them to people? My God, yes. Like I said, we get to the top of this hill, to Rihanna by the lake. If any of you are interested, it's an absolutely stunning location. I'll take some photos and you can see. So I hope you enjoyed the video of the road from Cangas to Honest to Rihanna. I'm doing the uphill section. And what I might do now is I might just shut up and just ride for a bit.